This is a look at the digital divide, how those that are in the lead are likely to maintain their lead, or if there are groups, for example, government, that hasn't really adopted AI in a very big way, what might be some tools that they can use to at least monitor what's happening and keep abreast of it, if not lead.
So when we're talking about what will change globally, the question is the United States going to be the leader in the use of AI? A big part of that is, of course, this question of, do we have a national digital strategy? But there's also these questions about regulation. And that's where I think, Europe's really getting it wrong with the GDPR, the data privacy regulation that's going to be holding back the use of AI in a lot of sectors. And the question is, what's the US going to do?
Trying to figure out the European regulations versus the Chinese regulations versus the US regulations. It becomes very imbalanced very quickly when you're a multinational. And if you disadvantage one region by putting so many regulations on them that they spend more time trying to adhere to the regulations than they do collecting, analyzing, and using the data, then you're going to disadvantage them. But that said, I do think we need greater levels of accountability, responsibility, and transparency, but it needs to happen more in the free markets, and companies need to be held accountable for that.
The way that we conduct and transact commerce in the future is going to be powered by AI. There's a little bit of misconception about what's AI and what isn't, and we're moving past the stage of using data in a predictive modeling state to actually think and reason. And for that, we're in the very early days where the impediments aren't government and policy at the moment. It's still in the science and the technology that we have to engineer and create.
It seems like if you have AI-enabled machines doing all of this donkey work, this must be leading to a smaller workforce in the future.
We haven't really seen that at all. I think we've been doing automation for quite a while. At this point, we're still feeling pretty bullish in terms of being able to leverage humans for what they're really good at, and then just taking away some of the tediousness of their jobs. And we can focus more on the customer experience, which I think that's where we want to step up.
General worry is that there's too much data collected on all of us, but should we be more worried about not enough data collected on some people?
In some areas of the country, you might be born where immediately just enormous amounts of data are collected, they're fed into an electronic health record, but there's going to be a number of people who don't have this data collected about them. And these give you significant advantages later in life. We should be thinking about the data divide, and how do we actually ensure that people have important data collected about them so that they can benefit from many of these types of innovations.
We already are collecting a mass amount of information, I would argue, across the socioeconomic spectrum, but it's happening in private companies, not necessarily at the government level. We've become somewhat of a data oligarchy in some ways.
The role that this technology can play globally in giving everybody a shot at this, by turning this into an accessible platform, you help propagate the technology to the have-nots.